It's a big budget. Here are some of the top line numbers. $4.75 trillion overall in the president's budget request this year. The defense spending would increase nearly 5% under the budget proposal. Non-defense discretionary, that's basically everything else that the government chooses to spend money on each year. That would be cut by nearly 5%. There is border wall funding in there, $8.6 billion for border wall construction, $1.9 trillion in savings overall from programs, including some of the social safety net programs, including things like Medicare and Medicaid, over 15 years, not the normal 10-year budgeting timeline, but over 15 years. The White House says that this budget would balance. Now, it was expected that this budget would be dead on arrival on Capitol Hill, and Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi confirmed that in a statement just a short time ago. She said the cruel and short-sighted cuts in President Trump's budget request are a roadmap to a sicker, weaker America. And guys, I can tell you that we just had Russ Vought, the acting director of OMB, out in the White House press briefing room a short time ago, and he said that despite the nearly $1 trillion annual deficits implicit in the president's budget request here today, he says this is a fiscally responsible and common sense budget. He blames folks up on Capitol Hill for not going along with some of the spending cuts that the president has previously proposed for those $1 trillion deficits. Guys, back over to you.
Eamon, as you said, it was expected to be dead on arrival. If we could look past some of the individual lines of disagreement, which are significant, is there a majority across Congress to allow for a bigger deficit and to allow the national debt to keep rising?
You know, ironically, that's one of the things that they do agree on Capitol Hill, Wilfred. I mean, there is a majority that would allow for a bigger deficit and for deficit spending, you know, sort of for years to come. The question is what that deficit spending is spent on, and that's where the fight is, right? So that's why we could see a government shutdown debate, not over the fact that you have deficits at all, but where those deficits come and what they're used to finance. That's the real fight in Washington. So the question is, you know, with a $22 trillion national debt, you know, one of the questions long term for the United States is, you know, how much, what's the carrying capacity of the United States economy in terms of debt overall? You know, where do you get close to that number? Is it 100 trillion? Is it 50 trillion? Or is it 25 trillion? That's sort of an unknown number. And there's really nobody in Washington who's sort of addressing that broader question, because in the short term, it's about these political fights like we saw with the government shutdown earlier this year.